You wouldn't expect it with how mysterious that teaser was, but we have more hints to glean about Pokemon Legends Z-A from the trailer, and even by looking at real-world history and Pokemon history. Let's not waste time, let's just hop right in, shall we? First, I'd like to talk about the Paris catacombs. I mentioned in my last video that with the game being confined to the city alone, we'll probably see a lot of exploration both up and down, and I even mentioned that on top of being able to enter most buildings, we'll probably also be able to explore an underground area. As Lumiose is based on Paris, it's fairly safe to assume that we'll be exploring the catacombs to an extent in Pokemon Legends Z-A. I want to thank user Raimi Miller 1455 for reminding me of this. The Paris catacombs are essentially a burial site that hosts over 6 million deceased bodies. They exist to consolidate space and take advantage of the many subterranean mines that exist under Paris, as well as protect civilians from falling ill from rotting flesh on ground level. Saying all this out loud definitely sounds darker than I meant for this segment to be, but hey, if you leave out this important piece of history and possibly awesome game area, I think that would be absolutely bonkers. It's worth noting that we can probably reach the catacombs through some of these side tunnels we see on the map, and with Zygarde supposedly residing within a cave, we might actually need to dive deep down to find it at some point in the story. That would be terrifying, and I'm kinda here for it. Next is something that I speculated about but didn't include in my last video because it was, well, speculation. But user Zefdo2971 brought some awesome info to my attention that makes my idea more plausible. Zefdo mentioned that they think Legends Z-A will have seasons, and they even noted that the avenues of Lumiose are named after the seasons. There's Vernal Avenue for spring, Estival Avenue for summer, Autumnal Avenue for, I wonder, and Hibernal Avenue for, come on, that's winter. Now in my previous video, I pointed out that the map is divided into sectors, similar to Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I speculated that perhaps each sector would represent a different biome, since the Lumiose redevelopment plan aims to allow every Pokemon in the region to inhabit it alongside humans. We couldn't do that unless there were biomes dedicated to allowing all kinds of species to thrive, right? So this could actually still be the case, and the seasonal avenues might represent what kind of biome they support and work as markers. Or, as Zefdo mentioned, maybe there really will be seasons. Or, hear me out, maybe both. Either way, if you're gonna tell me that Aurorus, the tundra Pokemon, is gonna survive in a city without snow, I tell you that you're absolutely bonkers. And you should probably go sit in a corner or something. Next, I want to retouch on a cool find I had in my last video, and that's this Pokemon literally climbing the wall of a building. Pretty sure this is a Venipede, but regardless of what the Pokemon is, I really didn't think about the implications of how we would go about catching it. I was skeptical about the amount of different ways we would have for catching Pokemon in a cityscape, but this seems like another skill test similar to what we saw with Dragonair earlier in the trailer, where the trainer kept missing his catches. Obviously, this Venipede will be fairly easy as it doesn't really seem to be moving much, but I bet there will be more Pokemon later on in the game that run around the sides of buildings, or maybe even higher up, and we'll need a skill to help us catch them, such as a flying Pokemon we can ride on. With the game being locked at just Lumiose City, I've no doubt the game will probably even be open air. Next, I want to talk about the Generation 6 Legendaries. We've all been fairly distracted by Zygarde, but I don't know if people remember that Legends Arceus included every single Gen 4 Legendary, even the Mythicals. That means we can most likely expect the same here, and that means Hoopa. I can almost guarantee Hoopa will be deeply tied to the story somehow, and they might even be the main antagonist, similar to Giratina in Legends Arceus. They might also be responsible for how our main character arrives in Lumiose if Game Freak tries to pull some time-space shenanigans like Legends Arceus did. Next topic I want to cover is Mega Evolutions and how that might replace Alphas. We even see Absol in this shot of the trailer, and Absol has Mega Evolution despite not being Gen 6 or pandering to Gen 1, because it's a Gen 3 Pokemon. In Legends Arceus, any Pokemon could be an Alpha, but that clearly won't be the case here. However, I do believe we will have boss Pokemon still, and they will likely be Mega Evolvedmon. Alphas wouldn't really make sense for the Lumiose City setting, so Mega Pokemon being boss Pokemon fits way more. Lastly, I want to mention something I forgot to talk about before, and that was the title for Pokemon Legends Z-A. I went in depth on all the different meanings Z-A carries, but I totally forgot to mention the fact that Z-A is also clearly a reference to the character AZ from X and Y. How absolutely bonkers of me to forget mentioning that AZ will likely be an important character in the story, as will the ultimate weapon. No matter what time period this game takes place in, I do believe this firmly. But have you guys found anything else in the trailer or anywhere really, to talk about? Something I still missed and everyone around you is missing and it's driving you crazy? Comment that down in the comments and afterwards stick around my channel for more videos, such as my last analysis video for Zeta A where I discovered so many things you missed. The link is right in front of you now, so be sure to click it. I've been Johto Jonny, and catch you in the next one.